Hey guys, welcome back. So, the last video you saw we put the main bearing support pan on, we put the cams on, we put the oil pan on. I ate a little crow because I'm not a fan of RTV, but I ended up having to use it on the oil pan. This video, this segment, we're going to put get the cams and cam gears put together. We're going to get them dialed in right, and then we're going to set the gear off the crank, and then we're going to put on our timing belt, and then that should complete the timing side of the engine. Let me show you where the cams are degreed, or where they're sitting, and I have a still shot of this from a diagram so I can share with you guys, and we'll go from there. You guys can see both of these cam shafts are sitting at the 12 o'clock position. Okay, so I'm trying to hold the camera and do this too. Here's your cam gear. See this? You've got an E for exhaust, and you've got the I. Hold on, guys, so I can put some light on this. You've got the I for intake, the E for exhaust. So if you take this gear and you put it on the intake cam, easiest way to tell is your intake manifold sits on this side, your exhaust, your header sits on that side. You want the intake side sitting like this. You want it level and going straight across. I here. So it goes up, see? Now your exhaust side is going to be the opposite of that. You're going to take it, and you're going to have sits like this. So you got your E and your I lined together. Then you're going to take your cam gear bolt, and you're going to secure it that way. Now, here's a little tidbit for you guys. If these cams are not sitting at the 12 o'clock when you install them, do not worry. If you look right here and right here, you could actually hold this with a crescent wrench to get these into position. Now, the other added bonus is you can use that same crescent wrench position to torque these to spec. Looking at the manual, they say 50 foot-pounds, so that's what we're going to do it to. Oh, you guys are looking at the Mazda. Sorry guys, I'm trying to hold a camera and shoot or record this. So now we're going to set it to 50 foot-pounds, torque it down, and these will spin as we tighten it. Well, they won't spin because we're going to hold it, but once we get these torqued down, then we're going to set up our Woodruff key, which goes in this channel here. We're going to get our gear set on the crank, and then we will work on getting the tensioner and the belt on, along with our engine mount. I am still waiting on my timing tool, so we probably will hold off for a sec. This video isn't going to be all in one day like I like them, but this is where we're at. Alright, you guys. So you guys can see I have a crescent wrench here. My little dude's staying up kind of late tonight, kind of hanging out. We're going to torque this down to 50 foot-pounds per the manual that I saw. And I hope it's right, because if I break this off in a cam, I am screwed.
And then we have to restart it.
That's cam 1.
Cam 1, and that's cam 2.
Intake, exhaust. So now we're going to torque this down to 50 foot-pounds. Oh, and my other little dude sneaking out here, my 3-year-old, my little shop dude.
I found you guys.
Yep, we're working and we're recording. Can you say hi to the camera?
Hi.
Is he short? Oh, you see a hand? Oh, there's a little forehead. But anyways, exhaust cam torqued down to 50 foot-pounds. Now that's torqued down to spec. Now what we'll do is we'll get our crankshaft bolt. We'll get the Woodruff key on here, and we will start putting that together. So that's where we're at.
Starts.
Alright, so we're going to spin until we get this to TDC, and you guys can see there is a V mark right here, and you can see my little dude messing me up here, but he isn't having fun. So you can see where the notch is. There's a V notch right here, and that's how we line up the cam gear, just like that. So now we're going to grab our Woodruff key, and we're going to grab the timing belt gear and put them on there.
Which is right here.
Yep.
And this is our dude Samson. Say hi to Samson.
So you guys can see the Woodruff key notch and the V notch here. That's what I was trying to explain to you. Got our Woodruff key, which is right here. It just sits in the groove, like so. And then we have our timing belt gear that sits right on here like this. And then you can actually see it's got a notch on it too, so you can get it situated. Just like that. Now, when we get ready to put the belt on, we're going to actually rotate this to the 11 o'clock position. That way, as we set the tensioner in place, it will rotate back to the 12 o'clock position. So now we're going to grab our timing belt tool. We're going to lock these gears up. We got to line them back up. They're not lined up right now. And then we're going to go from there.
They're not lined up. Or they're not connected.
Right. See right here, buddy? See how it says E right here?
E.
See how it says I right there?
I.
That's what we're going for.
But they are not spinning right now.
Nope, not right now. Alright, guys. We're going to install the oil filter mount.
How do I do this?
I'll hold it steady. You just screw it in.
Screw it in. Let's screw that.
Hold on, buddy. You're moving my hand.
Aye.
I'll start it. Let me get it started real quick, okay?
Yeah. Okay, Dad.
Alright, go ahead and take it down.
Now twist it.
And I'll share a still shot of the old one and this one. You're only going to have to hand tighten it. It doesn't have to be cranked on there.
It doesn't. There's no way you'll have to crank it on there. I think.
You think it's tight?
Oh, still loose. Oh.
Want to try it? Are you good?
I want you to try it.
Well, there's a difference between...
It's hard. I think.
There you guys go. Tighten up. So that's for the oil filter. Now, we're sitting here. And now we'll get the timing belt going on. Alright. So, we are going to work on getting this thing in time. I've got my Martin Performance timing tool. Is what I was waiting on. Some of these videos will be shot a little out of sequence, but when I put them together, they will all be in sequence. So, we're going to start by getting our engine bracket bolted on. I'm going to use a little bit of Loctite, just because I don't want this to work its way loose. Just a dab of glue. I'm not going to do anything heavy grade. Now you guys will notice that I still run keeping the top end covered up. So I'll put the bolts in it with a little bit of Loctite. I don't want these to back out. This is one of the key supports to the engine. And y'all, sorry if I'm a little hoarse. My voice is not where it needs to be just yet. So there's 3 bolts. They're about 1.25 inches long. Metric, I really don't know, but I know right here, this part of your knuckle is roughly 1 inch. on your pointer finger. So we got those on. I grab my 15mm socket and we'll run them home. And that'll be that. Now we're going to work on getting our belt, and I'll zoom in on this after I get it all lined up. You've got the intake and the exhaust mark. You got the marks and the line straight across with the Martin Performance cam tool. So those are lined up. And what we're going to do, we have our brand new belt tensioner from GMB. So this will sit on here and tighten our belt up. The other thing I got to do is get the spring off our old tensioner. Now you want the crank at the 11 o'clock position because it will move slightly. So let me get a pair of needle nose pliers and get this out of here. Hold on a second, y'all. So we have our tension spring. It's going to clip on to here like so. Because eventually it's going to hang up in here like this. So we're going to take our bolt, secure it, and go from there. Oh, hello. You know what? It'd be nice if we took our Gates performance belt and installed it on. Ooh, fancy sticker. So what you want to do, you want to take this little piece off the front of it. I set it on there so I wouldn't lose it. You want to make sure the belt is tight across these. It's going to run between the spacer and or the idler. Something just like that. And then they say we have it right. We'll tighten this down and it should be good. We'll get this tightened up and go from there. Y'all give me a second, I gotta figure this out. I'll be right back with you. Alright, you guys, so I phoned a friend because this was kicking my butt. Here's how it should look. Now I'm going to release the timing tool and we're going to crank it over a couple times and make sure it stays good. It's one full rotation. Two full rotations of the crank. So we got the timing done. I showed you guys how to do that. We're putting this water outlet here on the block. But look at here. This is why the aftermarket gaskets are crap. They don't fit right. So I ordered one from Jim Martinelli's Mazda, like I do a lot of my parts. But we're going to go ahead and proceed and get the water outlet here put on the block. Sorry guys, the sunlight is like killing it. We're going to put the water outlet here, and then we're going to go ahead and get a few things situated for now. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get the thermostat housing bolted to the block. And we're going to use some gasket cinch, 2 bolts, and just get it good and tight. Snug it down, and then we'll put the thermostat in the thermostat housing. And then we'll secure the pipes to the block here. Okay, so we have our 2 bolts here and down here. We're going to run them in just with the electric impact. Oops, got it going the wrong way, y'all. Well, that's why I said I keep everything legit. When I mess it up, I'm not afraid to show y'all. So we got that sitting back in there. Gonna run this down. Same thing on the bottom. We're gonna get them snugged up, and then I'll hand tighten them down. Alright, those are good and snug. Those shouldn't go anywhere. Now we'll get the pipes secured to the block, and we'll put the thermostat in it.
The small bolt.
Where's it go?
Goes right here.
So we got one right here too, right?
Yep, and it belongs to...
Let me get my hand out of the way, guy. Oh, it's alright.
Really? It just popped out all by itself.
Yeah, it happens when you don't get them situated right. You got it started? Okay. Now?
Easy not.
You got it?
Wow.
I'll hold it up. Hold on. I know the extension's kind of long, buddy, but go ahead. Hit the switch. Alright, now we're going to go to the bottom one?
If it hits...
There you go. You're good.
Oh, that was the quick one.
Now what are we going to do? We're going to put the thermostat housing on?
We put the thermostat housing on.
Put the thermostat in the housing right there? Fill that hole?
Fill that hole.
Alright, let's get the thermostat out and we'll get to it. You having fun?
Yeah.
So here's our thermostat. We drilled a small hole in it. Allows air to pass through so you don't get air in it. It's got a rubber seal that we'll put around the outer edge, and then we'll bolt it into the block, the housing. Here you guys go. We got the thermostat housing installed. Lines bolted down. Now back here, I did just install the water outlet block for the hoses and stuff, but aftermarket gasket didn't fit right, so I ordered a new one from Mazda. So we're going to cover this up for now and go from there. Come back to it. Alright you guys, as I said in the intro, we're going to prep a 626 intake manifold to put onto our Protege engine. I went with a 626 just because it has longer runners. People say it'll help the turbo applications better. I feel a longer runner personally with no obstructions. Sure to work just as well for the turbo as it does the NA. It might not be really noticeable on a mostly stock engine, but it'll get rid of any restrictions we have in the intake. I will show you the old Protege 2-piece manifold. Like I said, this is a single runner or single piece 626. So a little bit of gasket cinch. I'll put it on backwards, guys. So it's just like this. Well, we all make mistakes. I told you I didn't practice this before we put this video together. So we'll gasket cinch the other side. Get it glued down. And just like that. Now, I know we got gasket cinch on this side already, but we'll go and take some fresh gasket cinch and reapply it just in a couple areas. Now, if you get it on the manifold, don't freak out. I know it looks pretty, but we can always wipe and clean this off. Now we're going to take our throttle body. This is right here. Set this on the manifold. And then we take our hardware and we install it. These are just 12 millimeters nuts. So, you guys, I might have every bolt bag organized, but I don't exactly lay it out the best on my workbench. So, we'll get it on here. We'll tighten this up, snug it down, and we'll put our nuts in there. Told you I'm not very organized, y'all. Get our bolts in here. Now I'm waiting on an EGR valve to come in. We are going to put a fresh one on. The previous owner told me that this one had a brand new one, but upon further inspection, as with anything else with this vehicle, I find that was some bullshit. Pardon my language, but it was complete and utter crap. So we rectify that by just plain and simple getting a new one. This car should be 90% new by the time I'm done with it. I'll tell you what. Now, on the 626 manifold, compared to, let's say, the stock Protege manifold, it uses a different EGR tube and a different brake booster line. So if you get a manifold, you're going to have to source those too. These are good and snug down. They don't have to be super tight. They just have to be good and snug. I don't know the exact torque specs on these. I didn't even bother to look them up. Alright. So now we have that done. See our manifolds on there, or our throttle bodies on there. Now, we are going to set up our fuel rail. I might have to get a couple O-rings for this thing. So I have O-ring kits for the injectors, and if I have to, I'll put them on. I'm not exactly 100% sure what I'm going to need here. Okay. So we're learning this together, you guys. The 626 will use the factory Protege spacers, but it doesn't use these upper ones here. Quite interesting. but I can tell I'm missing a couple O-rings off of the Protege injectors. So we're just going to go ahead and put new ones on it. It's fine. I have spares. Here, let's set this up so you guys can see too. So we have the injectors. Purple goes to cylinders 3 and 4. Green goes to cylinders 1 and 2. So we're going to take our new injector O-rings. I believe these were off of a 626. And I got told by one person I didn't need them. I got told by another that I do. But lo and behold, all said and done, we at least need a couple of the lower O-rings. And that's fine. I can use a couple of them. I don't have to break into every kit to snag them out. So that gives me some spares on hand. I bought enough of 4 injectors just so I had it. What you're looking for out of the injector kit is these lower injectors. They're small or a round smooth finish, so those will sit on here like this. Then you have your fuel rail bolts off your Protege, and let me show you what those look like. Guys, sorry if I'm not talking very loud, I'm losing my voice. So you have your plastic spacers and you have your bolts. So these spacers sit on here just like this. And then before you put your injectors in here, you might want to wipe down the injector holes. They might have some dirt on them. So we just get a little rag and just clean them up a little bit. This is a brand new 626 manifold. Some of these Mazda parts, I get them from guys like, there's a guy out of Washington, guy down in Texas, a couple people all over. The Mazda community seems pretty tight knit. Pages like Purely Protege is one of my go-tos for parts and information. Those guys, most of the guys on there are pretty knowledgeable. And alright, let's clean that out. So put our spacer back in. And we take our bolts. Now on this setup, there's only 2 bolts that hold down these rails, unlike the factory Protege setup. And if I wanted to take the time, I could probably trim these down and clean it up, but I don't feel like messing with it. I really don't have the time for it, and it's not going to hurt the looks. If I want to do something later, I can go to a aftermarket fuel rail, something more smooth. So alright, you guys, I'll go and readjust my camera here in just a second. So we have our intake side of the head. We're going to take a little bit of gasket cinch, not a lot. We're going to run it around the head, just to kind of snug in our Velcro gasket. Now, when you put the manifold on, you're going to want to put the stud on the manifold on the studded side first. That way, you have something to hold it on for you. So we got that sitting on there. And let's set this down. We're going to take our Velcro gasket. Make sure there's no gunk in the head. Gasket on. The gasket cinch will hold it down to the head for the most part. And then we have our intake nuts and bolts. I bagged and tagged every little bit, and I believe my intake was missing some hardware when I got it, because I don't have nearly enough hardware. So I've got one of the 2 nuts that should be on it. But my buddy Brian did send me some nuts and bolts. I just got to go through them and see if I can make out what's what. Gasket cinch against the head. And gasket cinch against the manifold side. It does have a rubber seal on it, but like I said, this is more to glue it in place than anything else. It helps when you got friends in the community you're in. They really do help you hunt down parts. I told Brian I was missing some hardware, and he basically hunted down everything I needed to make sure I got it. So, I'm going to go ahead and set this on like so. And we're going to take these bolt nuts, run them down here. You might want an extension for this part of the job. So let me grab my extension needle. And if I was a betting man, I would use my electric impact or ratchet, but I really don't like running bolts in that way. So get it good and snug that way. I really wish I could slap the guy who worked on this car, because he really royally messed some things up. So mobile mechanic who these people raved worked on this car, shouldn't be allowed anywhere near him. Oh, yeah. I could have replaced one of the studs with a bolt, but I'll just go buy a bolt for or a nut for it. So we'll be all right. It's going along smoothly. One more here. I don't talk a lot while I work usually. It's kind of weird to try to record myself even for this channel stuff. So, you've got 3 bolts on the bottom, and you've got 2 bolts and 2 studs on the top. Make sure they're all nice and snugged up. We don't want any intake leaks or vacuum leaks. And something I just thought, but I'll figure that out in a second. I forgot to put an oil sending unit on this thing, but we'll get it squared up. It'll be all right. We can get to it still while it's on the stand. Because after we get the intake on, there's going to be time to take it off the stand, put a flywheel on it. Now you notice I haven't put a valve cover on it yet. I'm going to set the old valve cover on it, but I have a freshly powder coated one and cleaned up one that I don't want scratched up. So here's our 626 manifold. Let me switch this camera around. I'll show you the old manifold and call it good. Now that we got the timing belt aligned and set up, we are going to put our covers on. They are just a bunch of 10mm bolts, and it is a tight squeeze in here for all this stuff. So just a bunch of 10mm bolts, y'all. I don't have my dipstick tube yet, so that'll have to hold off on being installed. And then we have our upper half. That just nestles down in place. And I'll have to take these bolts back out once the once the dipstick tube comes back from getting cleaned up. So we get these started by hand. Over here. I just had y'all's way so y'all can see the struggle is real. And we got one more bolt to put on. We have all our sensors and stuff, but I think we're going to end this video right around getting this timing cover on, because I'm getting tired and I've got some things going on tomorrow that I got to be rested for. You know, one bolt give me a little help. And I would normally set my valve cover on and glue it down here and now, but the reason I'm not doing that is for the simple fact that I have a really nice valve cover I want to put on this, and I don't want to get it scratched. So we're going to leave it covered in plastic for now. I always start these by hand to make sure it threads in easily. If it's fighting you, it's not gonna, or if it's going in hard, you're gonna cross thread it. So we can put it on our extension. Now you don't need to crank these down, they just need to go snug. Like I said, a couple of these I'm going to take off with the dipstick tube. But for now, I've still got some little parts to clean up, sensors and whatnot. Then we have our shim. And you can see it's got teeth on it, or like an outline from where it's sat on here. It just sits on here like this. take our balancer, which I want to clean up, or I might run the underdrive. I haven't decided yet. Let me show you the options here. We have this OBX aftermarket balancer or pulley. It's lighter, it's slightly smaller to underdrive, all the accessories. So this is a stock one. I haven't decided which I'm running yet, so I don't know, y'all. Sorry guys. So we have our two options. Gonna weigh in on them. This one is significantly lighter, but like I said, it'll underdrive our accessories, and I'm not sure how that's gonna affect the alternator, the AC, and whatnot. So with that, y'all, I'm gonna say goodnight. Have a good one. God bless. Thanks for watching.